Lenok and Anatan winning against Shelby and Kaswa as well, as we will head into game number 1 of this set from Group C.
And it should be a banger. Two clashing playstyles. The methodical, maybe a little bit turtly, but more progressive and maybe more stable in some cases. Player DivineDFP on the roofs and in his way. I mean, I just said conventional. You know what the opposite's going to be. Someone who you can never be quite sure where he's going to be. And there's a reason why I keep using the word B. It is 3D Clan's very own B.
Yeah, Dome of Faith coming in from B right away. His signature landmark, really the player who pioneered the use of the Dome of... Or, as I'm saying, that Dome of Faith. My apologies. He's actually the one that pioneered the use of the Tower of Victory, yet he goes for the Dome of Faith over here, while Divine heads to the south, securing a plentiful amount of food with the Kremlin.
Now, it's reasonable what you done there, right? You know what you done when you talked about Delhi and the landmark? Is it was muscle memory. You're like, yes, the Tower of Victory is coming up, because we see it every game, right? But that's the beauty of Empire Wars. That's what's making it so phenomenal. It's like, it's a reset in a lot of ways, because if you've been playing a lot of Age of Empires 4, it's not as big of an advantage as you'd think, because a lot of bad habits build up compared to Empire Wars, right? Muscle memory things, timings you expect, they're thrown off by this magical mode that gives you 4 times more villages to start with, which is why already, before 2 minutes into the game, both players are going to be in feudal age. That's just wild to think about. Like, for anyone who plays a lot of AoE, they know exactly what I'm getting at. The build in your mind, the wisdom you built up over 2 years doesn't have as much impact as it normally would.
And I honestly love the Dome of Faith build here for B. Everything escalates so rapidly. In fact, you see he's walling off his opponent with Spearmen already. He's got 6 of them out there. And he's already at 3 Scholars. That's where it really gets interesting. He's going to rush the Tech to capture the Sacred Site in the middle, and Divine is nowhere close to being able to deny that. Now, of course, you say, hey, the clock is a 10-minute timer for the Sacred Site victory, but we've seen this so many times on King of the Hill back in the past. That 10-minute timer, it isn't as long as you would think it is.
No, and another thing to keep in mind is this wall in, the fact that Divine's going for 2 TCs. B knows what type of player Divine is, that he was always going to go for 2 TCs. You almost always do as the roost anyway. It gives a window of opportunity in conjunction with these walls, the Scholar scaling, and look at what B is doing. This looks like a fast castle, right? If you're scaling the Scholars cheaply from the Dome of Faith and you go fast castle, you can easily hoover up all the relics as well as that aforementioned Sacred Site.
Yeah, this is all going to come down to B holding that Sacred Site, you feel. Divine is going to have a window, but we realistically have 1 chance for him to push the Sacred Site. B already on the way to capturing this, but it's not just going to be that ordinary capture that you see in a random map game mode that we've seen back in the past. This is going to be a Sacred Site captured, and B also on the way to Castle Age. You see he's already piling up a lot of food.
It's just such a smart build, honestly, I kind of feel like what's happening here is a metaphor for 4 TC French players, which of course is a name that Divine made for himself like a year ago. This is what you do to them. You stick them in a corner and let them play with themselves. I'm not expecting 4 TCs this game. Divine's already switching to archers, but that is such a big question mark to me. Like, he hasn't dropped the blacksmith, but he built archers. He saw spears, sure, but you saw walls. The fact that he hasn't addressed this yet is scaring me, LidaKor, because B is going to be ready to tech up in about 30, 40 more seconds. And as I mentioned, with this many Scholars, you can instantly just grab 4 relics off the map.
Now here's the thing, KP. This shouldn't work, but it does. There is not a world in which you should be able to build walls with spearmen when archers are around. But it does work because those walls were built so early. And you see, with no siege engineering or basically no torch power for Divine, unless he pulls villagers, he's stuck behind these walls. By the time he gets through the first layer, there's a second layer set up. Castle Age on the way, compound of the Defender to no one's surprise coming in for B. And he's about to capture the Sacred Site, he's about to yoink the relics. This is going to be such an uncomfortable position for Divine to be in.
The relic hoovering is already starting to commence. It'll be ready to go in about 30 seconds. And now, this is, honestly, it's just a classic hoisted by your own petard situation, right? Like, this is really Divine's own fault, because he's playing the exact style that he's known to play. He hasn't deviated in any way, B has just done a phenomenal job of identifying that and using his own comfort against him. I mean, look, he's even walling on the flanks. Like, that even matters. Like, B isn't coming in, buddy. He's asking you to come out.
Oh, yeah, like, this is such a cheeky play, but it works so well. And this is exactly the mindset that many of the players had playing this map. It's an all-in-ish style map where you can pull off some cheeky moves. And you see, Divine, he's like, oh, yeah, I got through this first layer of walls. And then there's a second.
Whoops.
And there will be a third. Behind this, B is going to have essentially all of the relics on the map as well. I think the only thing that's missing for him is stone being mined so he can work towards a keep.
Yeah, honestly, I'd say work towards another wood wall quickly if you could, but like he hasn't got the wood, right? So yeah, eventually get into the stone, but now you need to get into military force because there is going to be a fight ahead of you, but it's going to be a fight where you're strong. Divine is still being a greedy mother ducker. He's trying to tech up instead of coming out to address this now. He doesn't want to remain tech behind, but the damage is already done, right? Like, what does your tech up really achieve? All the relics already been going to be grabbed. Maybe he's a bit worried that Men-at-Arms is going to follow this up. I can respect that concern, but I don't know, man. Like, every time he places another wall, LidaKor, like there's a win probability in my head that moves another % away from him.
Yeah, this is so problematic for Divine. You see, he's only up by 7 villagers. That's going to be offset by a mile by the relics that B has. And then B is working towards village fortresses.
What?
So he's going to catch up on the villagers.
Not
you
just
feel
that.
like Divine is getting basically no return value out of the 2 DC build here.
And not just the village fortresses. Look at what B is building. We wondered what his comp was going to look like. He's just going full monkey mode with elephants here. I mean, it's not monkey, it's a different thing from the zoo, but like he hasn't built an additional spear, he hasn't built any Men-at-Arms. I think he's legit just going to do a full elephant strat.
I don't mind that. If you think about it, the concept with that is it's just impossible to kill what you have in the middle. You have a keep, he's just now working his way towards that, mining stone. And he's going to have a bunch of elephants. Good luck killing that for Divine. Clock right now at 8:30. Divine still needs to get through a layer of palisades over here. And he's yet to start mixing in battering rams.
He's actually slowed himself down getting out with these walls. I don't know, man. I can't fully explain DivineDFP's thought process other than he's scared. Like, this many walls, it's like he thought there was going to be a Lancer follow-up and there was going to be raids on the flanks. But we can see that's not what it's about. It's elephants into the center, hold on the sacred site. Now he gathers the stone. This is much more sensible than if he'd just gone straight for a keep. Because the reality is, if DivineDFP had been trying to break out at an optimal pace, then building a keep would have meant getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar, right? So the elephants cover you in case he was being aggressive.
Yeah, one thing he could have done is pull villagers to burn through the walls. That was kind of missing out there. So now he's facing elephants in the middle, units that he doesn't really have tools to deal with. He's a little too late to the party now, breaking out of his base.
Elephanto fun time, and immediately says, I want no part of that. Get me away. Elephants are eager, man. He's got a lot of scholars, by the way. He's going to start pulling them soon. Like, that's the whole point, right? Is that with this play, where Dome of Faith is super sexy in this game mode, is that you're able to have so many scholars that you want units that have a big health pool because you can just pull and heal. That's what makes this so crafty from him. I'm surprised he didn't go Tower Elephants as well, but I think he just wants to make sure that the Spearman threat is addressed immediately.
Yeah, he's mixing in archers now. He's on the Dome of Faith, but he actually has the numbers advantage in terms of archers right now, so he's going to be more than okay with this. And he's even knocking on those doors now.
Let me in. I just want to party. It's Elephanto fun time, baby. I'm just going to shuffle away, man. It's so... Honestly, I've watched so many games in the first year of Delhi Elephant spamming that I can assure you, Spearman is not the answer you think it is. You can't reach them, man. Unless you are like Delhi with Force March, Mongols with movement speed, or Ottomans, they always get away.
Yeah, now, you might be asking why he's pushing this angle, and it's actually pretty simple. B just wants to distract Divine at this point. Timer at 6 minutes already, but Divine can't even focus on building up a push towards the middle because he needs to address these elephants pushing the south.
Well, it's more that if you're shoving him in and shoving him back, you can build the keep behind this and never get, like, threatened, right? You can also build enough space to then use these archers to go stone walls. So there's a cool layer to this. And it's also, it's getting information, because when you see these elephants knocking, you're like, I don't want to let them in. So you start showing what you've got. You start showing the spears. You start showing the crossbows. And that lets B know what he needs to do next, which is destroy more walls.
Keep coming in here for B. It's going to be at a more passive position, but it is guaranteed to go up because Divine is nowhere close to stopping it.
And just remember what you get when you take a keep drop in the center like that. You get enough stone for almost 3 more keeps. Actually, he has combat and defender, so yeah, he's going to get 3 more keeps. And I think Village Fortresses is done, right? Because remember, no scholars have turned up here. He's kept them all at home, so he's been getting all the techs. He's been zooming through them. Boiling Oil is about to complete. And Divine, I don't know what you're meant to do. You've got 5 minutes, and you actually haven't counted anything yet.
Yeah, he doesn't even have Siege to deal with the keeps here. And a keep is going to complete. Boiling Oil out there. Village Fortresses as well. This is looking so grim. And right now the Scholars are being used to get all the techs. They can pop out any moment and just provide combat healing to all these elephants.
Yeah. That's the really big concern here, right? It's like we highlight this. It's going to keep scaling, and these elephants, none of them died so far. A few of them are low. That's now going to be fixed, okay? It turns out that these scholars are also caretakers at the local zoo. Zookeepers. And for anyone who grew up on Zoo Tycoon, not even lions that you forgot to cage are as violent as these creatures. Like 8 war elephants rather, can just stall this at a pace that Divine can't afford. We're now 4 minutes away from a win.
Yeah, and Divine can't even flank. There are walls all across the map, so Divine can't even just dive the main eco, threaten B there. There's exactly one place where he can go, and that place is defended by a bunch of elephants.
Oh boy. One mango now. I mean, the problem is with one mango, like if you had 4, right, you could do enough damage to start killing units. But anything you don't kill here, the zookeepers take care of, because these archers are filthy animals as well, just make it impossible for Divine to even use those spearmen. Spearmen on the high ground. We force back here. Elephant's overextending slightly, so one is going to go down. The body blocks come up for the Scholars. He's not even attacking right now. B, a miss micro there. Cost him 2, and a Springled. An opportunity maybe for Divine to break out, but he needs to be fast about this. It's just over 3 minutes away from a win for B.
Yeah, B overstayed his welcome over there, but now Divine has to fight the actual defensive force to keep the elephants, and he's getting repelled here with 3 minutes on the timer. No trebuchets, not a single battering ram. He's got absolutely no tools to break this defensive position.
And the reason why Divine had to fight right there as well is, like, if he didn't, there would have been a stone wall on the corner there of the cliff, right? Which would have pushed him around deeper towards the keep. So, like, it's do or die, man. Divine, he's only got 1 trebuchet. This keep is not going to go down. You have to dive it. You have to get on that sacred site. The problem with that, he only has 7 men at arms, so he doesn't have many units that can tank double keep fire.
Not at all. Not at all, KP. And it's not just getting on the sacred site, because what B is going to do is camp the sacred site with his units as well. He needs to start that decap. He needs some killing power, something that deals with these elephants.
Oh man, Springl's just getting freebies. Remember, it's the uphill vision here, so Divine, he's fighting blind until he gets shot at. Without Siege to assist, it gets problematic. Like, he doesn't have any spears. So he was countering the elephants and then seemingly just stopped. Oh man, I don't know. Like, this is, I think it's not premature to say this is over. We are about 30 seconds away from an A click onto the sacred site for Divine.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do that. There is just no other options. Trebs are finally coming out. He's got 3 of them. B does have a couple of Springolds, though. Even if he gets one of those keeps taken down, this is just going to come down to raw army numbers, you feel. Yeah,
it's that classic I can just stand in the way long enough, right? And that's the beauty of the Scholar plus Elephants. Is just, it's a tank now, you know? And the Overwatch players, you just grind hard it up, baby. Springhole's now just being sniped out. Mangoes trying to get in range here for a premium shot, but we've said this already. Unless you've got a second one, it just doesn't matter. And right now, Divine does not matter at all in this game. It is going to be the Gremlin pool, but it's a pitiful 12. I mean, that should be the sour ending to the game with just a minute left and no melee to breach through. It's hard to see a way through for the player in blue.
Yeah, he's diving in here. Just 45 seconds left to go. There's a second keep behind this as well. I think this is the first time that the second keep was spotted by Divine. He's going to have to call off his forces and just no units to get through those walls with.
And check this. Yo, yeah, he pulls just in time to repair it. That's important. That stops him getting in. That stops him stagnating this. Those villagers come in clutch to make sure there's no opportunity to even delay this a second longer. Optimal game out of B. Knew exactly what he wanted to do. Hit his timing perfectly. And he's going to achieve just over 60 minutes in the game a Sacred Site victory. Okay, Suna. That's going to be cool. GG comes out. B, dominant way to open this series.
Very, very dominant KP. He plays to the strength of the Civ and the strength of the map. Divine played a standard game here. Went for a second TC, went for a slow build-up. But if there is any map where you can't afford to let that happen, it is going to be King of the Hill. It's a very all-in style map. This is definitely a map where you can pull off some cheeky strategies, some all-in moves, and that's exactly what B did.